Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're tackling motivation. But not just, the usual rah-rah speeches. We're digging into the actual science of it. You know, evolutionary psychology, brain chemistry, even how our body's rhythms affect our drive.
Sounds pretty comprehensive.
It is. And I gotta admit, I went in a little skeptical, like, how much science can there be to just getting things done?
Right. I can see that. But I bet you found some interesting stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I had no idea about some of this stuff. It's seriously fascinating.
Well, let's dive in then. What was it that really surprised you?
So many things.
Yeah.
But one that comes to mind right away is how much the whole idea of overnight success is a total myth.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Our sources really hammered that home.
Yeah.
Real success takes consistent effort over time, not some magical burst of inspiration.
It's about putting in the work day after day, which makes me think about the different types of motivation. Are some types better for that long haul?
Definitely. And our sources go into that. They talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Oh, yeah, right. Intrinsic is when you do something because you love it.
Like,
Uh,
exactly. Like, I love to garden. So spending hours out there is pure intrinsic motivation, for me anyway.
so that's intrinsic. What about extrinsic?
Extrinsic is more about external factors like rewards, punishments, or pressure from others. So, cleaning the house because your partner will nag you if you don't. That's extrinsic.
Yeah, I know that one all too well.
Yeah.
So is one type better? I mean, doing stuff you enjoy is ideal, but let's be real. We can't always be intrinsically motivated.
You're right. And that's where things get interesting. Our sources actually highlight research saying that relying too much on external rewards can mess with your intrinsic motivation over time.
Really, so like, if I'm constantly rewarding myself to exercise, it could backfire and make me less likely to work out just because I enjoy it.
That's what some studies are showing. It seems counterintuitive, right? But those external rewards can actually weaken your inner drive. And that ties into another key concept from our sources, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Oh yeah, the pyramid. I remember
Ah.
that from Psych 101.
Mhm.
But how does that connect to motivation?
Well, Maslow's theory suggests that our actions are driven by this hierarchy of needs, starting with basic survival at the bottom and going all the way up to self-actualization at the top. The interesting part is that your most pressing need at any given time can seriously impact your motivation and how you respond to different motivational strategies.
So like someone who's struggling to put food on the table isn't going to be super inspired by a motivational speaker talking about following their dreams.
Exactly. They're focused on meeting those more fundamental needs first. So, yeah,
So
it's not one size fits all.
This is giving me a lot to think about, and we've only just scratched the surface. I'm curious about how our biology fits into this. The sources mention some interesting things about dopamine.
Right. Oh, yeah. Dopamine, the motivation molecule. It's
Yeah.
a key player in our drive and reward system. And getting how it works can be incredibly empowering.
Is this where those hack your brain tips come in?
Our sources go deeper than that. They dig into the specifics of how dopamine is produced and how lifestyle choices can affect its levels. For example, they talk about the importance of tyrosine, an amino acid found in protein-rich foods.
Tyrosine. Okay. And what does that have to do with dopamine?
Well, it turns out tyrosine is a crucial building block for dopamine. Not enough tyrosine. It means your brain can't make enough dopamine to keep you feeling motivated and driven.
So it's not just about willpower. It's about our biology, too.
It's about understanding this whole interplay of our needs, our environment, and our biology.
This is amazing. We're learning so much about what makes us tick on a fundamental level. It's
Right.
wild, right? How much we're learning about what makes us go sober.
And speaking of driving forces, our sources also highlighted how much our environment affects our motivation. Like, it's not just what's going on in our heads.
Right. Our surroundings matter way more than we think. Our sources really made me question if my environment helps or hurts my goals.
So even with tons of willpower, if you're surrounded by distractions or negativity, it's going to be tough to stay motivated. Totally. Think about it. Do you have a space where you can actually focus? Are the people around you supportive? These little things can make a huge difference in how motivated you feel.
I never thought about it like that.
Right.
But it makes sense. It's like trying to grow a plant in bad soil.
Yeah.
Right. You might have the best intentions, but the environment is working against you.
Perfect analogy. And that leads to another big idea from the sources, the stages of change model. It's a framework for understanding how people transform. And it really hit home for me.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about this model.
Sure. So it lays out these stages people go through when they're making a big change. It starts with pre-contemplation,
Yeah.
where you don't even realize there's a problem. Then there's contemplation, where you start thinking about changing but haven't committed yet.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. Like when I was trying to quit smoking, I spent forever in that contemplation stage, going back and forth. Was I really ready to quit?
It's super common. We've all been there. The trick is to figure out what stage you're in and then use the right strategies for that stage.
So if someone's stuck in pre-contemplation, maybe they just need more info about why changing is good.
Exactly. And if they're in contemplation, they might need to weigh the pros and cons, or figure out how to feel more confident about making the change.
And then once they're ready to actually do something,
Yeah.
they move into the preparation stage,
Right.
making plans and getting ready.
Yep. Then comes the action stage where they're actually doing the new thing, but it doesn't stop there.
There's more. So it's not just about changing, it's about sticking with it too.
Absolutely. The maintenance stage is all about keeping up the new behavior and avoiding going back to the old ways. It's tough, especially at first, but it's key for making lasting changes.
I see how useful this model can be. It's not just about motivation. It's about getting this whole process of change.
That's what's so cool about it. It helps you see that change isn't a one-time thing. It's a journey with different stages and challenges.
Speaking of journeys, our sources also talk about setting SMART goals.
Oh yeah. SMART goals give you a framework for focusing your energy and making sure your goals are actually doable. It's one thing to kind of want to change, but it's another to break it down into concrete steps.
Remind everyone what SMART stands for.
So it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Each part is important for making goals that motivate you and are actually realistic.
I love how practical this is. No more guesswork, just a clear path to success.
Right. And that brings us to another big takeaway from our sources: hard work.
Okay, I admit, this part wasn't as fun as dopamine and brain hacks, but I know it's true. No matter how much you plan or think positive, nothing replaces putting in the effort.
It's the foundation of any real success. And our sources don't sugarcoat it. They say straight up that reaching your goals isn't always easy. Sometimes you got to push through challenges. They even talk about this thing called productive pessimism.
Productive pessimism, that's a new one. What's that all about?
It's about mentally preparing for obstacles and setbacks. Instead of thinking everything will be perfect, you think about what could go wrong and how you'd handle it. Being realistic, not negative.
So you're ready for challenges instead of being surprised by them.
Exactly. It's being proactive and building resilience. Knowing there will be bumps, but you can handle them?
This is a whole new way of thinking about goals. It's not just about being positive. It's about being prepared for the tough stuff that comes with going after something meaningful.
It all comes back to aligning your mindset with reality.
Right.
Right. Not pretending setbacks won't happen, but facing them head on with a plan.
This is so insightful. It's like we're building a motivation toolkit. We've got the science, the SMART goals, the right environment, and even productive pessimism to deal with the challenges. Wow. It's amazing how it all connects, right? Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, dopamine, our surroundings, the stages of change, SMART goals, even that productive pessimism thing. And this whole idea of aligning our mindset with reality keeps coming up.
Yeah, that's a big one. Our sources are clear about that. Real motivation isn't about forcing yourself to feel a certain way or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about getting how all these factors work together and working with them, not against them.
That makes sense. Instead of trying to be super pumped up all the time, it's more about setting up your life to support your goals, so it's easier to stay on track.
Exactly. Our sources even talk about this idea of least effort, which isn't about being lazy. It's about being smart. It's knowing we only have so much willpower, so we should make it easy to make the right choices.
So like, instead of using all my willpower to resist that donut, I just don't keep donuts in the house. Problem solved.
Right. Or instead of dragging myself to the gym after work, I pack my bag the night before and leave it by the door, like a little reminder. Make it easy to do the things that help you reach your goals.
It's like we're hacking our environment and our habits. So motivation becomes more automatic, less of a struggle.
And that brings us to a really powerful takeaway. Motivation isn't something you find. It's something you create.
So we're not just waiting for motivation to strike. We're actively building it.
Exactly. And that's super empowering. You're not stuck waiting for the right feeling or the perfect circumstances. You can make choices, build habits, and create an environment that supports your goals.
It's been awesome exploring all this stuff today. What do you think is the most important thing for our listeners to remember about motivation?
I think the biggest takeaway is that motivation isn't this big mystery. It's a process we can understand, learn the science, ditch the myths, use the right strategies. And you can basically become the master of your own motivation.
So it's not about finding motivation. It's about understanding it, shaping it, and using it to build the life you want. So as we wrap up today's deep dive, think about this. What's one small thing you could do today to get more motivated in one area of your life? Maybe set a SMART goal. Clean up your workspace. Or pick one little habit you want to start. Even the biggest journeys start with a single step. Thanks for joining us.